With so many good books published today, it was difficult deciding which we should highlight. After great heartache and soul-searching, we managed to narrow it down. Our top 10 books of the week are: 1. 3 Days to Live by James Patterson. The people closest to you can be your most dangerous enemies in this heart-pounding collection of 3 brand new thrillers from the master of suspense. A CIA agent bride is on her European honeymoon when she and her husband are poisoned, leaving her 72 hours to take revenge, with Dwayne Swarzynski. When a deal goes bad on a tech executive in Washington, D.C., he turns in order to kill his family into a chance to relive his military glory days, with Bill Schweigart. A Los Angeles doctor trusts her 2 housekeepers, but when she's murdered in a botched attempt to steal drugs, the pair of grifters vie to control their former employer's estate, facing off against the Russian mob, with Julie Margaret Hogbin. 2. A Dangerous Education by Megan Chance. Rosemary Chivers is haunted by the choices she made as a teenager, and by those made for her by a controlling mother. Now, in the Cold War era of conformity and suspicion, Rosemary is a modern new teacher at a school for troubled girls. She happens to know that one of the students is the child she gave up. But which one? Ignoring warnings, Rosemary forms an impenetrable bond with the 3 girls who are the right age. But these are no ordinary girls, and what begins as an effort to bring closure to her own rebellious youth soon spirals dangerously out of control. Rosemary is prepared to do anything to find her daughter. What she isn't prepared for is the deadly consequences that come with discovery, or just how wicked wayward girls can be.
7. Black Wolf, 2023. It is 1990 when Melvina Donlevy arrives in Soviet Belarus on her first undercover mission with the CIA. To the prying eyes of the KGB, she is merely a secretary. To her CIA minders, she is the only one who can stop the flow of nuclear weapons from the crumbling Soviet Union into the Middle East. 4. Mel has a secret. She is a super recognizer, someone who never forgets a face. But no training could prepare her for the reality of life undercover, and for the streets of Minsk, where women have been disappearing. Soviet law enforcement is firm. Murder is a capitalist disease. But could a serial killer be at work? As Mel searches for answers, she catches the eye of an entirely different kind of threat, the elusive and petrifying Black Wolf, head of the KGB.
4. Iron Curtain by Vesna Goldsworthy. Milena Urbanska is a red princess living in a Soviet satellite state in the 1980s. She enjoys limitless luxury and limited freedom. The end of the Cold War seems unimaginable. When she meets Jason, a confident but politically naive British poet, they fall into bed together. Before long, Milena is planning her escape. She follows Jason to London, where she's shocked to find herself living in bohemian poverty. The rented apartment is dingy, the food disgusting and Jason's family withholding, but at least there are no hidden cameras recording her every move. As she adjusts to her new life, however, Milena discovers the dark side of Jason's idea of freedom. Bonus, Lying Beside You, February 2023. As a boy, Cyrus Haven survived a family massacre and slowly pieced his life back together. Now, after almost 20 years, his brother is applying to be released from a secure psychiatric hospital, and Cyrus is expected to forgive Elias and welcome him home. Cyrus is now a successful psychologist, working with the police, and sharing his house with Evie Cormack, a damaged and gifted teenager who can tell when someone is lying. When a man is murdered and his daughter disappears, Cyrus is called in to help piece together Maya Kirk's last hours. Police believe she was drugged and driven away from the same bar where Evie is working. A second victim is soon taken, and Evie is the only person who glimpsed the man behind the wheel. But only 2 people believe her. One is Cyrus. The other is the killer. 6. My Last Innocent Year, by Daisy Alpert Florin. It's 1998, and Isabel Rosen has 1 semester left at Wilder College, a prestigious school in New Hampshire. Desperate to shed her working-class roots and still mourning the death of her mother 4 years earlier, Isabel has always felt like an outsider at Wilder. But now, in her final semester, she believes she has found her place, until a non-consensual sexual encounter with one of the only other Jewish students on campus leaves her reeling. Enter R.H. Connolly, a once famous poet and Isabel's writing professor, a man with secrets of his own. Connolly makes Isabel feel seen, beautiful, and talented. His belief in her ignites a belief in herself, and the two begin an affair that shakes the foundation of who Isabel thinks she is. For better and worse. 7. On the Savage Side, by Tiffany McDaniel. Arcade and Daffodil are twins born 1 minute apart. With their fiery red hair and thirst for escape, they form an unbreakable bond nurtured by their grandmother's stories. Together, they disappear into their imaginations and forge a world all their own. But what the two sisters can't escape are the generational ghosts that haunt their family. Growing up in the shadow of their rural Ohio town, the sisters cling tightly to one another. Years later, Arcade wrestles with the memories of her early life, just as a local woman is discovered drowned in the river. Soon, more bodies are found. As her friends disappear around her, Arcade is forced to reckon with the past while the killer circles closer. 8. The Applicant, by Nazlı Koca. Layla, a Turkish 20-something living in Berlin, is scrubbing toilets at an Alice in Wonderland-themed hostel after failing her thesis, losing her student visa, and suing her German university in a Kafkaesque attempt to reverse her failure. She attempts to find solace in the techno beats of Berlin's nightlife but with little success. Right as the clock winds down on the hold on her visa, Layla meets a conservative Swedish tourist and, against her political convictions and better judgment, begins to fall in love, or something like it. Will she accept an IKEA life with the Volvo salesman and relinquish her creative dreams, or return to Turkey to her mother and sister, codependent and enmeshed, her father's ghost still haunting their lives? Bonus, The Cliff's Edge, February 2023. Restless and uncertain of her future in the wake of World War I, former battlefield nurse Bess Crawford agrees to travel to Yorkshire to help a friend of her cousin Melinda through surgery. But circumstances change suddenly when news of a terrible accident reaches them. Bess agrees to go to isolated Scarfdale and the Neville family, where one man has been killed and another gravely injured. The police are asking questions, and Bess is quickly drawn into the fray as two once close families take sides. When another tragedy strikes, the police are ready to make an arrest. What dark truth is behind these deaths? And what about the tale of an older murder, one that doesn't seem to have anything to do with the Nevilles? Bonus, The Last Orphan, February 2023. As a child, Evan Smoke was raised and trained as an off-the-books assassin for the government as part of the orphan program. When he broke with the program, he remade himself as the Nowhere Man, dedicated to helping the most desperate in their times of trouble, and found himself slowly back on the government's radar. But Orphan X has always been several steps ahead of his pursuers. Until he makes one little mistake. Now the president has him in her control and offers Evan a deal: eliminate a rich, powerful man she says is too dangerous to live, and she'll let Evan survive. But when Evan left the program, he swore to only use his skills against those who really deserve them. Now he has to decide what's more important, his principles or his life.